but there's still somebody who needs to be responsible for the storytelling and the marketing of whatever it is. And you just, climate change is a good one. One of the mistakes of climate change is we allowed the scientists to do the messaging, and we screwed up the messaging for so long, created conflict. Another one that's had a complete failure of messaging is crypto and the blockchain. Like, most people have no idea what you're talking about. And all it does, and when people don't understand, fear is always the reaction. And I think AI is now the next one, which is, I think there's an underlying messaging problem, and there's a lack of empathy in how we're messaging that, all these jobs can be replaced. Like, just as an analogy, it's like well-intended climate change people who come into a town in Ohio and say, okay, all you coal miners, this needs to be solar. And what they're forgetting is that this coal miner, his father was a coal miner, and his father's father was a coal miner, and all I know is coal mining. And that's how I raise my family, and that's how I pay my bills. And you're coming in and telling me that that you're replacing it so that I can have more upward mobility or something like that. And all I can hear is, what am I going to do? And I think that all of the purveyors of good technology and good intent have to be empathetic for the people in the receiving end of these messages and understanding the situations they're in, and then you'll have less pushback. But it's all fine and good to talk about the bright futures, but we have to consider the people who are on the receiving end of it. I think one of the challenges is that most companies, and we've seen this over the course of the past few decades, most companies don't have the patience for their people to grow, right? So this is Jack Welch, Milton Friedman nonsense, which is companies have become shorter term, more quarterly driven, or at best annually driven. And I don't have patience to wait and help you on your growth journey. I need my growth, and I need you to my numbers. It reminds me, Gary Ridge, he used to be the CEO of WD-40, also a relatively local company. He was on an analyst call, and the analyst said, "Gary, you missed your numbers." And he goes, "No, my numbers are fine. I missed your numbers." But to Gary's credit, he has a company that invests in, like, if you're in a leadership track, they teach you how to be a coach. They teach you coaching. And they've invested in their people, and they understand that people's performances don't always match the arbitrary numbers of the arbitrary dates of running our companies. And he has the institutional patience to allow someone to go on a growth journey with their ups and downs, even if it means that he has to suffer short term, because he recognizes that over the long term, he will benefit, which, by the way, they have. It's a very, very high performing organization. So I think not until the incentive structures and the intentions of the company align with the desire for our people to actually grow, because we talk about reviews. This is the problem with annual reviews, right? I'm not actually reviewing your year. I'm reviewing the past 2 months that I can remember. And the past 2 months sucked, even though the previous 10 months were amazing, right? And so this is why I like quarterly or at least semi-annual reviews. At least then I can see growth. And I will reward growth more than absolute. So somebody who's high performer is actually less valuable to me than somebody who's demonstrating some sort of growth. Because you may be a high performer, but everybody hates working with you, right? So are you demonstrating some sort of growth somewhere, even if it's not at a performance? And companies aren't equipped, nor are they patient for it. I would love to see it. Yes, more of that. You can't live in chaos all the time, right? That would be unsustainable. But you can't live in strict structure all the time, because what you get is government bureaucracy, right? And my definition of bureaucracy or a bureaucrat is someone who doesn't care, right? And so you can't have that either, because it'll kill innovation and status quo will thrive. And so what you want is pockets of it. And so you allow for spaces for chaos. In other words, whether it's a project that you're working on, or if there's something new happening, you put it outside of the corporate structure, right? And you take it out of the bureaucracy and you allow them to play and break things. Also, I think we want to reward behavior, like initiative, but very often we only reward output, performance. I'll give you one simple example. So I was young in my career. I worked for a large ad agency, a large marketing firm, and we had a big new business pitch in the new year. This was December. And what was traditional is all the senior executives would do the business pitch. But it was Christmas time, so they all went on their vacations. And me and one other junior person were left back at the office. And they told us, prepare the war room for when they get back so they can do the pitch, which basically means hang the research on the walls. That took an hour. And we still had a week. And so we decided to do the pitch ourselves, which is we went through all the research, we combed through it, we found some insights, and we wrote the deck. We wrote the pitch deck. And when the executives came back, we presented our work, and they used our deck in the pitch, which was amazing. They actually used our strategy, and we lost the business. We didn't win the pitch, and I got a huge promotion. My boss promoted me 2 levels up. I skipped a level because he wasn't rewarding my performance. He was rewarding my behavior because he saw the initiative that I took, and he wanted more of that. So I think that's a large part of it as well. If you want innovation, you have to reward the kinds of behavior that begets innovation. But if we only reward output, all you're going to get is people taking safe roads because they want the output. So I think you have to recognize and reward the kind of behaviors that you want. So first and foremost, I think a lot of leaders don't know what their job is, right? And I mean that seriously. When we're very junior in our careers, our companies give us tons of training to do our jobs so that we'll be good at our jobs, obviously. And some of us even get advanced degrees so that we'll be good at our jobs. And if you're good at your job, you get promoted to a position where you're now responsible for the people who do the job you used to do. But we give you no education on how to lead. So we just expect people to know how to lead and give them no education. I wouldn't go see a doctor who's had no education. Why would I follow a leader who's had no education? And so what happens is because you've given me you haven't even given me a definition of what a leader is. You just told me I'm in charge. Well, that just makes you an authority, not a leader. Leadership is the awesome responsibility to see those around us rise. Your job is no longer to do the job. Your job is to see those around you be better at the job than you were based on all that amazing experience you had. It's a completely different skill set. And so what you find is a lot of people are insecure, so they're going to either micromanage or tell you what to do, because I actually do know how to do your job better. It's what got me promoted. And we're very uncomfortable with the fact that somebody might not, like, I had to do it that way, you're going to have to do it that way. I had to do my 5 years, there's no way you're going to go faster. If I've got somebody who's smart and talented and going faster than me, I want to foster that. What makes me the leader is that I'm going to build the best team around me, and the reason they'll follow me and they're not going to try and stab me in the back is because they see me offering that growth. They see me providing that circle of safety. They see me offering them an ear for them when they're struggling or when they need help. That I'm regulating when to jump in and help and when to let them figure it out themselves. And they know, like a parent, that I'm always there to support. And we aren't, A, telling leaders what their role is, which is to lead people, and 2, we're not educating leaders how to lead. And so we're going to get leaders who are going to stifle brilliant young minds because of our own insecurities. We're all guilty of it. First of all, we all know that the value of this event is not what's ever happening on the stage, as fun as it may be. The values of the event is that you're seeing friends that you haven't seen in a while, you're meeting new people, you're going to talk to people at mealtime, you're going to stand next to them on the buffet, and you're going to create friendships where you can have to call people like, hey, I'm going through this thing. What do you like? It's this that makes these events back, because there's not a single thing we're doing on the stage that you couldn't see online. So why'd you show up? Because you want this, right? And I have a different point of view when I talk about it as an act of service. So for example, we know that when you go to an online workforce, let me take a step back. We know that in-person work really favored the extrovert. We know that, right? And we know that a lot of introverts suffered at work. And so when we're saying, hey, everybody come back to work, all the introverts are going, no. I work better at home, right? And the answer is great, except for the fact that there's other people here as well. And you have to do it as an act of service, which is, yes, I do work better at home, but I'm going to come to the office now and then because I know that it's the right thing to do for those who work differently than me. And the extroverts have to say, I know that I want everybody to come back to work because I like it, but I recognize that some people need space to get their work done separately, and so I'm going to allow for flexibility at work. And so I think as an act of service to each other, we all have to let go a little bit of what we want. There's the combined problem of young people who started their careers or early in their careers tasted work from home, and they think it's the world's greatest thing, except for the fact that they're suffering serious mental fitness challenges. I don't use the term mental health. I don't like the term mental health because mental health sounds like a standard that you have to reach, and most of us are feeling like you either have it or you don't. I believe in mental fitness, which is something you have to constantly work on. And they're suffering serious mental fitness challenges, right? And the anxiety is getting worse. They come to work, they freak out, and they say, you see, I can't ever come to work, not failing to recognize that it's the being at home that's creating the anxiety. And so I do think that we have to find mechanisms to bring people back to work or spend time with each other, do plenty of offsites, whatever it is, because I think 100% distributed work is bad for people. But I do think of it as an act of service. I think that we have to let go a little bit of what we want for the good of others and for the good of the team.